Yeah, exactly.
Yep, you got it. Just changed it. That's good for you. So it's been your swing. At least they got a nice old table.
I'm going to call the meeting of the Judiciary Committee to order. I turn the recorder on and I'm going to ask Stan to act as secretary for the committee. There is a sign-in sheet. If you haven't signed it, please do so. We only have one matter on the agenda, and it's a transition resolution in regard to 4 cases. And I will open it up to the committee, and the committee will discuss it in detail. And until they are finished, once they are finished, then I will recognize from the public or anyone else. Please keep your comments brief, keep them on the subject on the agenda, and please try not to repeat what somebody else has said. If you agree, please just say you agree. So therefore, I open it to the committee. I'd like to ask first, Stan, do you have any comment in regard to the resolution?
Me?
Yes.
I guess one question I'd have, if Duke does take this, if he does continue, what is his fee going to be?
Okay. As he will be acting for the city, I'm going to state that it will be the same as it has always been, but I will confirm it before this comes to the council. Any other comment?
Just one.
Bill?
No, it looks good to me.
Sweet?
Yeah, it looks good to me, and I certainly think it's in the best interest of the city to allow Duke to continue with these cases, seeing as he's put so much work into it. And it would be really costly to have another attorney to try to play catch up on these various cases. So having said that, I would make a motion that we approve this resolution to move it on to the city council at a special meeting on Thursday.
Okay. For clarity, shall we include in the motion that the cases are the Jones case, the Johnson real estate case, the Brennecke, the City of Dillon versus Brennecke, and the City of Dillon versus George Warner?
Yes, I could go with that.
Do I have a second?
Call for the question.
I'll take questions or comments from individuals before we take the answer. Mr. Clacken?
Mayor, I don't have a problem with you assigning this to Mr. Gilbert in these 4, but I really don't think it's in the power of the Judiciary Committee to take control over the cases or have them report to the committee. The city attorney or a deputy acting, when you get with the vote of the council and they decide to accept or hire another attorney, that attorney should report directly to the city attorney. Now, and the mayor should be involved. But again, I will back out of the Warner and Brennecke part because of the possible conflict of interest. But at least for the 4 of them, they should report to the city attorney and work through that way, not necessarily the Judiciary Committee, because there's nowhere in the ordinance says it goes to a committee. The council votes to hire, but the council doesn't have the authority to tell them what to do without a vote of the council. And with the council voting, then it's up to the city attorney or the mayor to make sure that gets done. You see what I'm saying? The control doesn't go with the committee or the council. They can decide to hire, but the direction should be through a city attorney. At least that's what the ordinance says.
Well,
Thank you.
I would think that we are going through the Judiciary Committee so that we can bring it to council, and I would be sure that they're gonna work with Mr. Dolan through the whole process.
Yeah, I would support what you're saying. I can't picture the Judiciary Committee having a meeting without the presence of the city attorney.
Yes.
Dan,
I guess question to Mr. Dolan, how do you feel about that process, or what is your take on it?
Sure. Well, I think last Wednesday at the city council meeting, I was asked whether I would have a conflict with the Jones case, and of course I would, because I was a witness to the case. So I feel it would, and I think that's been assigned to the outside counsel, so I think that matter is almost concluded. So in that sense, I don't know that it's completely appropriate for me to even think about acting in something like that. As for the Johnson matter, I gather that's a real estate transaction that's about concluded. There's not much work left to do. And as for, I guess, the matters with regard to Mr. Renicky and Mr. Warner, I have had no involvement in either of those cases, so I'm certainly not up to speed on where those matters are and what really the procedural posture of the cases are. I could certainly get to that point. However, I guess if I listen to this committee, I think there is some credence in what Mr. Tortelson says, in the sense that I would have to get up to speed on those cases. And I do feel, and I have advised Mayor Clacken as well, that even if there is some participation, there is a little bit of at least a suggestion of a potential conflict. So it's not, the involvement may have been small, but I think it's better if you don't proceed with something where you, in terms of the transparency of the action by the person involved. So if we're talking about 4 cases, I mean, fundamentally, I guess if I'm hearing the council, and I'm hearing the mayor, fundamentally, we're really talking about 2 cases. Well, in addition to Warner and Bank, assuming Duke wants to keep them. I have not visited with Mr. Gilbert, nor have I determined whether or not Duke may be interested in continuing with his cases. But I'm certainly not familiar with them. It simply was not under the terms of the previous contract I had with the city.
There's not much left on either one of these cases, is there? I mean, as far as on Renicky and Warner, the judge has already made his judgment on the main case. These are regaining fees, is that what these are, the
Well,
Renicky and Warner?
there is still an issue in front of the judge. It is impossible to know whether the judge would ask for further information or work and such, so we can't judge that.
No pun intended. No pun intended.
Mr. Clacken?
Just one other, I kind of agree with Dan on the money thing, however you guys decide, but it's been costing the city quite a bit of money. Just for the last 2.5 months, the city's paid $29,000 to Mr. Gilbert, or will. paid. So we gotta control it some. I'm not talking about just to Mr. Warner, Mr. Rennie's
Yes,
case. There's
clarify
some
that,
other,
please.
there's some other, well, quite a bit of it has been to that. It really has, but not all of it, and I will agree with that. But I'm talking just the checks. In the last 2.5 months, we have or we're ready to pay, and it calculates out to about $29,000. So in 2.5 months, we've almost spent, not quite, but almost half of his budget. And that's not counting what's already been spent. So we gotta somehow, or put more money in there, amend the budget. But that's not you guys, that'd be finance committee to do that. But just warning, I'm not a warning, that's a bad word.
Yes, it is.
You know, just informing the committee.
This resolution is to make an easy transition on 2 cases in particular that have gone on for over 4.5 years, that the city has had no choice to proceed with, and yes, we hope that they're close to resolution, but that's unknown to us. It depends upon the judges and the attorneys. This resolution will clarify the authority, and the committee will be the communication vehicle between the attorney and to the council on any recommendations on action taken. Mr. Warner.
Yes, Chairman. You stated that the city had no choice in this matter. How many times has the city council voted upon this matter during the entire 4.5 to 5 years?
Couldn't answer that, my memory's not that good.
And in relationship to this matter, I'll forego that question. Thank you.
Call for the question?
Questions?
I still have a question. And now, Mr. Dolan stated that we're not even sure Duke will accept these cases.
No, I,
He personally is not.
no, Mr. Nye, I apologize. No, I have not spoken to Mr. Gilbert about what his intentions are with regard to any of these forms. I'm simply, I'd like to know if he says, yes, I'm still interested in doing it. I think he and I need to sit down as attorneys and talk about what his intentions are. It is true they've gone on 4.5 years. I mean, frankly, shortly after I was retained as deputy city attorney, I was well aware of these cases and how much time and effort were being put into them, even though they were not cases that I had any involvement in. So my sense is that I would like to see him resolved to move forward. I think that's a positive thing. But how we work that out is important, obviously. And I think that requires me to speak what's thinking.
Dan, in response to your question, if you recall, at the first council meeting this year, I brought up the fact that when Duke took over as city attorney, that we authorized Sidram to continue on with the cases that he had put a lot of work in on. And Duke indicated then that he would be willing to do that with these cases here, if you recall that. Thank you for bringing that up.
But what I'm asking is there confirmation that he will for sure?
Well,
I mean, because this is written up with his name in it as the one that's going to do it. And do we know that for a fact?
we would have gone this far.
That's all I'm asking.
Yes.
Call for the question.
Question's been,
I think there's a hand up.
I did have one more question as well. How many settlement opportunities were presented in the Brennicky and the Warner case? Are you aware?
I do not know, that has been between the attorneys.
between the attorneys and us.
That's where it should be.
That's all I have, thank you.
Call for the question.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
The motion has passed with 4 affirmative votes. We will move to public comments on significant matters within the city of jurisdiction. And since this is a committee, it does have to be something in relationship to the committee.
To this case, to this issue, to this.
No, this is public comment,
Yeah. But
not on the agenda.
the city codes say the only thing that can be considered is what's on the agenda.
We've done the agenda. This is public comment, not on the agenda, but it does have to be of significant interest to the committee. There's, did you have your hand? There's no comment? Mr. Graham?
I just have a brief question. I see on one of the local things that evidently there was a city council meeting Thursday that wasn't, there was no agenda posted for. I don't know any other way you guys can all get together and decide to send a letter to the judge, and 7 councilmen signed it. Now, to me, that sounds like a meeting of the minds of the council. You already made up your minds, but is there a copy of the minutes for that meeting that's going to be available, or is that going to maintain a secret endeavor?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You signed the letter to the judge, Ms. Winstead. 7 councilmen signed a letter to the judge saying that you was going to do this. 7 councilmen on one piece of paper, that is a city council meeting by any standard. Is there going to be a copy of where it was posted and a copy of the minutes available, or is that all under the table stuff?
No response to your comment.
It's a question, wasn't a comment.
I have no response
Have
to
you
your
got a
question.
copy? Has anybody got a copy of that letter I can borrow? Here's a letter dated to Dear Judge Lorshin from the City Council of Adair, signed by 7 councilmen. So I'm assuming the 7 councilmen got together to approve this letter.
7 council people did not meet together.
The Supreme Court actually recently made a ruling called roaming meeting, is that correct? Roving meeting? That any time a quorum of the council gets together, or they
There
do it at
was
one
no
time.
quorum.
Sure, there's 7 people on here and you all agreed to do already what you just voted to do. And I'm assuming at the special council meeting, all 7 of you,
That's
well,
a-
8 of you, will be voting to do what you said you will do here. So that means there is no public participation in something where you already made up your mind. That makes it a city council meeting. Now, are you going to make available the minutes of this or not?
I will state clearly, there was no council meeting, there is no minutes. That document is a separate issue than what went in front of this committee. You called for an adjournment? Second? All in favor?
Aye.